This is my review of Wave's new multi-effect plugin called Kaleidoscope.
Traptendo.
What is going on, peoples? We are back at it again with another review. You know how these go. I talk about the pros and cons and I demonstrate how it works, and we're gonna see if it's good or not. So the link will be in the description box. Please leave a comment below. I definitely want to hear from you guys on how you feel about this plugin. And it works for both Windows and Mac, so don't worry about all that. Make sure that you download the demo, try before you buy. You know what I mean by that. So this is Kaleidoscope right in front of us, and what I'm gonna do is play a demo track from the MPC here so you can hear the vibes that we're gonna work with as far as this demonstration. So what I'm gonna do here is demonstrate some of the presets that are in Kaleidoscope so that you can get a full scope of that on this sound. All right, so let's go ahead and do a full reset here and get to a clean default setting here. So again, let's go ahead and talk about how the UI works in itself. So my first comment as far as the UI goes is that I like it. It's very simple and sweet, and you guys will understand how it works in a second here. My only complaint about this is that I'm on a 1080p resolution screen, which is fine for this setup for Kaleidoscope, but perhaps if I wanted to stretch this out or make it bigger, you could not, but you can change and make this a little simpler so it's not too overbearing. But you know, again, I will explain how it works. But for somebody that has a smaller resolution or even bigger resolution than what I have, you wouldn't be able to stretch it out. And I think it's time for Waves to get on that boat to where you can adjust the UI. So the other thing that I would like to talk about is the different effects, because you have two different modules in terms of your effects, which has 4 different effects, which is phaser, flanger, chorus, tremolo, and they have their own parameters as well. So if I was to navigate through them again, you can see that the parameters don't apply to everything. So one of the things I want to get into is that you have different kinds of modulation. So you know, you have sine, triangle, absolute sine, random, input, and sidechain. Now, I believe that input and sidechain makes this extremely dope, because that means you can sidechain maybe a kick or a synthesizer in here, and you can get a different kind of modulation, which is very unique, as well as adding an audio input inside of there as well. So I think that's another unique trait about this as far as it being a multi-effect. However, I would like to see more effects. That's one thing already. So with that, let's go ahead and build something with the intended sound. So I'm gonna go ahead and add sine. Let's dial in some speed here. I'm gonna go ahead and sync it. Turn on the character. Add some depth. Lift, phaser, mix, so we can get not to go too fast here. You can see on the phaser here is you can change the different speeds. Of course, if I desync it, will be in hertz mode. Also, you can choose the width, or the mix. So you can actually have half of that audio coming in and half of that audio coming out. What you don't understand, or you probably wouldn't see, is that this is by frequency. You can have up to 10 kilohertz and below. So that can be dictated as well with these high pass and low pass filters right here. So let's go ahead and hear that. As far as turning the mix up here, let's go. What you just saw me do was mess with the maximum and minimum, and also just messing with like the bell shape over here. So that is one of the things that I really like about this. As far as it goes, it's pretty innovative, though I wish there was more effects that you could use instead of these for defaults. There's like interesting ones like Big Crush and maybe some type of audio looper. That would be really cool as well. Hence a la Looperator. But other than that though, being able to dial in depth and being able to mess with certain frequencies over others are very cool tricks that you can have up your sleeve. One thing I do like about this as well is that the fun doesn't stop there. As far as effect 1 and effect 2, you have this area right here where you can choose how you want to trigger it and how you want to mix both of these effects in. So let's go ahead and mess with this area right here where you have simple, retrigger, and one shot, and it does affect it. So let's go. Mess with the threshold. You can listen to it as well. And if I had a sidechain set up, I could sidechain it. So overall, you can bring stuff into with the mixer. You can choose to drive it. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and drive it. And last but not least, you have parallel or serial, or you can switch them both from side to side. So serial, it will put them side to side theoretically, and parallel, it'll be top bottom. So let's go ahead and hear parallel real quick. So it's pretty unique in what it does. So tell me how you feel about this. My pros for this, as far as it goes, one thing I would say as a pro, if you're deeply embedded in the Waves ecosystem and you really like the workflow of Waves plugins, then yeah, I think it's pretty decent as far as a multi-effect goes. I definitely like some of the new features about it, especially the parameters and being able to apply LFOs. Those things are very useful, as well as being able to sidechain a signal in there. That's pretty inventive in certain ways, and I think that goes a long way if you are really deeply embedded in sound design as well. You can get some pretty good use out of it, especially if you want to kind of lo-fi things. Obviously, you got chorus and vibrato there that you can affect. And, you know, those go a long way. Cons. I definitely would like to see Waves step their GUI game up. I think it's time for a vectoral plugin or a vectoral UI from Waves. What does that mean? That it will overall affect the results? No, but I think it's necessary for a lot of people that have really high resolution screens, and it's just modern times. My other con for this, as good as it is as a multi-effect, I do think that there are better multi-effect plugins out there that came out years ago. Effectrix, Looperator, Artillery, all came out from the same company, and they're revolutionary to this very day. You got cable Guy Shaperbox. Yeah, so you're competing against a lot of these guys, and they actually have things a little figured out when it comes to multi-effects. But does that make the Waves Kaleidoscope plugin bad? Not really. But then again, they have pretty good examples in front of them of what they could crush or take ideas from, whatever works the best. But I think that Waves came a long way as far as their originality with this plugin. Do I give this the stamp of approval? Well, I would say about 75%.